let's take a look at finding the rule of an exponential function. So there's two ways that you can do this. One where you are given a graph, and one where you are not. So let's just take a look at the steps for finding the rule when you're given a graph. So step one is you need to determine your equation of the asymptote. You also need to determine the coordinates of your initial value and a point on the curve. So you need your asymptote, you need your initial value, and you need a point on the curve. Step 2. You need to determine your k-value. So remember, your asymptote determines your k-value. Your asymptote equation is y is equal to your k. So you use your asymptote to find your k-value. And then you also want to use your your initial value, your initial value to determine your a. So the coordinates of the initial value are 0, a plus k. So once you have your k, you can determine what your a is from that. Step 3 is you want to substitute your a, your k, and your x and y from the point into your f of x is equal to your acx plus k. Step 4 is you want to solve that, and you want to solve for your c. And then step 5 is the final step. Rewrite the rule with your a, c, and k values. So these are the steps for when you do a graph. Let's take a look at an example. So my asymptote seems to be when y is equal to 0. So y is equal to 0, so that I know that 0 is my k-value. This is my initial value, and the coordinates are 0 and 3. And then I'm going to take this point here, which has coordinates of 2 and 12. So this is my first step. Second step is to identify my k. My k is 0. And then the second step is to identify my a. Now since my k is 0, my a is going to be 3. Because 0 plus 3 is going to give me 3. Now we want to put everything into the formula. So this is the base formula, acx plus k. I'm going to use this point here, so my 12 is going to go here. My a is 3. I don't know what c is, and my x is 2, and my k is 0, so I don't need to put it here. Now I'm going to solve this. So what I want to do is divide both sides by the 3 first. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Now I have c squared equals 4, so I'm going to take the square root of both sides to give me c is equal to 2. Finally, my rule is going to be f of x is equal to 3 times 2 to the power of x. And that is my final rule. Now, how about when we do not have a graph given to us? Well, then the steps are going to be a little different. And I'll show you using an example. So without a graph example. So let's say that we have been given y is equal to 7 for our asymptote. And we have a point. We have 2 points actually. We have point A, which is at 1 and 13. And then we have point B at 4 and 55. So whenever you're going to be given, whenever you're trying to find the rule of an exponential function, you will always need to have at least 2 points. The easy way is if you have one of them being your initial value. None of these are my initial value, so my steps are going to be quite different. So let's just take a look here. This tells me what my k value is, so I immediately know that my k, and I'm going to write that up here, my k is equal to positive 7. So what I want to do then is I'm going to have to write 2 equations where I'm substituting these into each equation. So equation A is going to be, and remember my base is this function right here. This is my base that I'm going to be substituting into. Whoops, that should be a k. Let me just erase that really quick. And then back to that. So this is a k value. So my first one is going to use point 1 and 3. So 13, I should say, is equal to a times my c to the power of 1 plus 7. And then my equation b is going to be 55 is equal to a to the times c to the power of 4 plus 7. Now, we are going to compare these 2 formulas. Now, when we compare these 2 formulas, we can basically eliminate these guys right here because they're going to be the same. Regardless of whatever is going to happen, these are going to be the same. So we don't actually have to take a look at these. We just want to look at this part when we compare it. So let us make a comparison. So I'm going to write this formula. 13 is equal to ac to the power of 1. And I'm going to put it over this formula. I'm basically just making a ratio. From here, I can actually determine what my c value is going to be. So, using the laws of exponents, these a's are going to cancel out. This c here, when you write it out, so I'm just going to leave this as is for now, this becomes c1 minus 4. I'll bring this up here, which then becomes c to the negative 3, which then we can turn into a fraction, which is 1 over c3. Now, of course, I'm going to want to actually evaluate my fraction right here. So 13 divided by 55 is going to give me 0.24. Now, to isolate for c, I'm going to want to cross multiply. So I'm going to bring this up here. So it's going to be 0.24 times c3 is equal to 1. And then bring this up here again. I'm going to divide both sides by 0.24. So I'm going to get c to the power of 3 is equal to 4.17. Now I'm going to take the cubed root of both sides. Now remember, when you're taking the cube root, you're going to want to use the x over that root button. And you're going to want to type in the 3 first. So 4.17 inside that root. So my C is going to be 1.61. So now we have found our C. The last step that we need to do is find what our A is. So I'm going to put this into my formula. I'm going to do this up here. I'm going to make just a fine line here just to simplify it. I'm going to use this formula right here, my formula A, to solve for my A, because my exponent here is 1 and it's easy to calculate. So 13 is equal to A times 1.61 to the power of 1 plus 7. This just becomes 1.61a. I bring this 7 over here. I actually should have done that at the first. So 13 minus 7 is going to give me, whoops, what am I doing? 13 minus 7 is going to give me 6. Then I'm going to do divide by this number, 1.61 on both sides, to get me to have an A of 3.7. 3.73 is my A. So when I write my rule, I'm going to have 3.73 times 1.61 to the power of x plus 7. This is my rule. All right. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.